So as I said, Senator Kennedy, look, stop one ship. Just stop one ship, draw a line in the sand, and send a message to the Iranian mullahs that they can't break the sanctions. Joining us now, Florida Congressman Brian Mast, House Foreign Affairs Committee, former U.S. Army Special Ops veteran. Brian, as always, sir, I'm going to salute back. It's wonderful to see you. Before we get to stopping one ship and the sanctions, Mike Johnson, I'm calling this as the most improved player of the year award. That is the Republican conference now led by Mike Johnson. In the very nick of time, Mr. Mast, tell us about the Mike Johnson victory today. Got more votes than McCarthy did 9 months ago.
Yeah, number one, thank God. I'll just say that. Mike
Yes.
Johnson, he's a classmate of mine. We came into Congress at the same time. And listen, he's a strong Christian, number one. And I think people heard that mentioned about him to his core. He is a constitutionalist to his core, well-studied, takes his work very seriously, great messenger, is out there constantly on the floor of the House for hours, just speaking about whatever the issues of the day are. So he is entrenched in it, cares about it, and I think he brings a good heart to this.
You know, it seems like Mr. Johnson has a knack or an ability, to stay with his conservative constitutionalist principles, as you just noted, but not to alienate people. He says it in a way that people understand. They may not agree, but he's very respectful about it. I think that style, Brian Mast, will serve him well.
I think you very much pinpointed what he is to his core. He is respectful of others. He might ardently disagree with somebody, but you're still going to be able to have a beer with him afterwards because he did it in a way that you can come back to the table with him.
Yeah, great stuff. I'm telling you, the Republican conference, you get the comeback player of the year. It's really a great turnaround. If only my football giants could do the same thing. Brian Mast, let me go back to the war. All right, the horrible war. We should not be sitting in defense. We should not be worried what the enemy is going to do to us. I think the enemy should be worried what we might do to them. We might escalate the war. We might pound them with American might. We're not doing any of that stuff. You're in the Army. You're special ops. You know all about this stuff. My point here is, okay, how about using the sanctions, implementing the sanctions? And I'm very simplistic. I was involved in this when I served in the Trump administration. You're supposed to interdict or impound ships that are carrying cargo for export, because that is not permitted under the sanctions. There is no oil exports that are permitted under the sanctions or other commodity exports. But we don't do that. So my point is, stop a ship. You want to send a message? Stop a ship. It's not as good as killing Soleimani the way Trump did, but it's something that the Bidens won't do. And I wanted to get your take on it, Mr. Mast.
Yeah, a couple of things there. One, I think we should not be bashful at all about an eye for an eye. I wasn't crying when we put Soleimani into 5 pieces on the side of a tarmac, and I think that there should be more of that. Violence of action is important when you're coming against this kind of enemy to show that we will have a greater violence of action than you. There will be consequences for your actions. Going to the sanctions part of this, it's not just a ship. Yeah, you said that. But we know that there are ghost fleets out there under numerous flags across the globe that are shipping Iranian oil. That all goes to sanctions that they have to decide. Do you want to do business with America and Europe or whomever, or do you want to do business with Iran? And if you're choosing Iran and you're flagged in Panama or somewhere else, you're going to have serious issues getting business in other places. That has far-reaching effects. That's the place we have to go now. I'll just give it in an anecdote, right? It's like sanctioning a farmer without sanctioning the farmer's crops. You're not doing anything if you don't sanction the farmer's crops. Their crop is oil and energy. Same thing with Russia. Their crop is oil and energy. And if we are not affecting that, then we're not being effective.
Well, we didn't do a good job with that either, talking about Russia. We didn't do a good job. They're still producing 10.5 million barrels a day. That's crazy. It's financing the war at $80 or $90 a barrel or whatever the discount is. I mean, Iran's selling a lot of oil to China, as you probably know, Brian. We should stop that. That should be stopped. And the law of the sanctions permits stoppage, interdiction. So here's the strategy has to be deterrence. not appeasement. There's a difference. I would say to you right now, the Bidens have been appeasing Iran. But that, they're unappeasable. No matter how much money you give them, they're still going to hate us. They're still going to hate Israel. They're still going to hate Western democracy, et cetera, et cetera. So we must start with some deterrence. That's why I give this stop a ship. I know it's simplistic, but I'll give you the last word on it because I'm a frustrated camper. 16 more attacks on the United States, 30 more soldiers that have been injured. Okay, and the original attack, as you know, was over 30 dead Americans. We should be raising holy hell about that.
Rightfully frustrated. And let's talk about where this is so not bipartisan. We sat here in Capitol Hill and listened to Democrats on the other side arguing that, well, we should watch out what we do with these ships specifically, because we could be hurting domestic energy prices. No concern about domestic energy prices when it comes to domestic policies, but if we affect Iran and how that might affect American energy prices, they are all over it. And that's what's going on here.
All right. Congressman Brian Mast, I hope you just keep fighting. Keep fighting. You got a new speaker.
You can count on that.
All right. Comeback of the Year Award, GOP Conference, and Mr. Mike Johnson. Thank you, sir. We